What's up, guys? My name is Adriel Rivera, and today I'm going to be going over how to make your vocals sound professional in FL Studio so that we can start from something like this. I don't want to grow up, and then move it along to something like this. Now, before we get started, I wanted to say that lyrics and vocals go hand in hand, and in order to get good vocals, you're gonna need to get good lyrics. So, fortunately, I wrote an ebook called Unlocking Your Inner Lyricist, and it's for free. It's a free download. All you gotta do is go to the link in the description. It's a link to my website. All you have to do is sign up with your email, and you'll get a free download through email to the PDF file of Unlocking Your Inner Lyricist. But without a further ado, let's get into this tutorial. Alright, so first things first, we're gonna wanna look at the vocal itself. Let's just give it a little play right now. I don't wanna grow up. As you can hear, it's super dry. There's no effects added to it whatsoever. It's just the plain vocal itself. Basically, what we're gonna do first is we're going to pitch correct it because we don't want a vocal that's out of tune or even slightly out of tune, because it can mess up the whole song. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our mixer, and as you can see, I already labeled everything. So just for convenience sake, to make this tutorial go a little faster, we're gonna go to our mixer. We're gonna select any channel, and then we're gonna go to an empty slot on the channel, and basically we're gonna left click it. We're gonna go to select, and then we are going to look for new tone. Now, basically what this is going to do is it's going to bring up this plugin called Newtone. And basically what Newtone does is it allows you to pitch correct any audio file you put into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our channel rack. We're going to find the vocal. Then we're going to click the vocal. We're going to drag it into. And as you can see, it is brought up here. So how do we pitch correct in Newtone? So what we're gonna do is we're going to go to these three knobs up here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the center knob, bring it up all the way, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna take every note on the vocal and basically shift it to the pitch that it's nearest to. So now if we play, I don't wanna grow up. As you can hear, there's some places that are slightly out of tune. So what I like to do is just pop them back into place like that. And as you can see, every single note is chopped up and put into its corresponding MIDI map right here. So if we just play, and remember to play with the new tone play button up here. I don't wanna grow up. You can hear that it is still slightly out of tune. So whenever that happens and you have two pitches that basically this is stuck in between, what you want to do is you want to click on the vocal or click on the pitch, double click on it, and you can see this is brought up right here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to the variation and bring it down, and what this is going to do is it's going to take out any variation in the pitch so that it's like a very straight out of tune kind of sound. But when it's only one pitch like this, it's very unnoticeable. So as you can see, we'll play back. I don't wanna grow up. And there we go. It sounds so much better. As you can see, there are a lot of instances where there's slight, out of tuneness. So a way you can just affect everything is if you go to the variation knob up here and you bring down the variation. If it goes down all the way, it sounds auto-tuned basically. I don't wanna grow up, just waiting on that come up. So if that's the sound you're going for, you can use that. Usually I like to bring it down a little bit just so those slight variations are canceled out basically. So if we listen again. I don't wanna grow up, just waiting on that come up, blow up. I don't wanna grow up. That sounds good. So you can see right here, this is a little bit out of tune, so we're just gonna bring that back up to the corresponding pitch that it should be at. I don't wanna grow up, just take me to the top already and keep me steady. There you go. So now that we have everything down, And also, if you're wondering what this knob does, it basically makes the transitions between notes harder or softer. So as you can see, I'll give you a little demonstration right here. So if this is all the way up, I don't want to grow up, and then this is all the way down, I don't want to grow up. Sounds like more like choppy, you can say. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put this back into the playlist over here. So in order to do that, we're gonna go back to our noon tone, and this right here is our send to playlist button. So we're gonna click that, and as you can see, it is right here. I don't wanna grow up, pitch corrected and everything. Grow up, just wait. And sorry for the crackles. Let me try to fix that really quick. All right, I'm not entirely sure why it's making that cracking noise, but I guess we're gonna have to deal with that. So sorry about that, guys. I don't wanna. But we have the vocal now. So with this vocal, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it into our mixer channel. So we're gonna grab this and we're gonna go to vocal 1, channel routing, and then route selected channels to this track. So now you can see I don't want the vocal goes into vocal 1 on the mixer. First thing I like to do is I like to put a compressor on vocals. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to level out the volume. So anything that is super loud will get quieter, and everything that is really quiet will get louder. So basically this just makes it a little more dynamically balanced, and it'll allow us to hear the vocal a lot better in the mix. So we're gonna go to our slot, select, and fruity limiter. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down to the compression, and we are going to listen to the vocal. I don't wanna grow mess up, with the threshold. Grow up. And what I like to do is I like to bring the threshold slightly below the, like, one of the lowest peaks. I'm not going to use that one because that one's really low, but this peak right here I think is good. So basically what the threshold is it's telling the compressor that anything above whatever threshold we set will be compressed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set the ratio. The ratio, as you can see in the corner over here, the ratio tells you how many decibels is being converted to 1 decibel. So right here we have a 2.1 or 2.0 to 1 ratio. So that means for every 2 decibels above this threshold, it will output 1 decibel. So basically we're halving the volume of this vocal. So if we listen now, I don't wanna grow up, grow up, grow up, just waiting on that come up, blow up. I don't wanna grow up, grow up, grow up. So you can hear that difference. So that's the basics of compression. I'm not gonna get super into this because I really don't get into this when I'm mixing my vocals. Usually what I will do though is I'll bring the gain up a little bit more, because after compression, your vocals generally tend to sound quieter, as you can see. I don't wanna grow up. And then compared with this on, I don't wanna grow up, grow up, so we're gonna bring the volume up, just waiting up, or the gain a little bit up. So now we have about the same volume as we did previously. And if you want to learn more about compressors, there are a bunch of YouTube videos you could watch. If you want, I'll make a video on compression or about any of these that you might want to know. Because I do know a lot about this. I'm just making this as quick as I can. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next open slot, and we're going to bring up our parametric EQ. So basically what this is going to do, it's going to allow us to edit the volume of certain frequencies so that the ones that we want to hear will be brought out more, and the ones we don't will be lessened in volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all the low frequencies that we don't need, because our human voices generally can't produce frequencies down in the low bass, sub bass range. I don't wanna grow
So we're gonna go over to this. We are going
just
to
waiting on that
put a high pass filter
up. I don't
by
wanna
selecting this
grow
little icon up here and changing it to
just take
this
me to
low
the
pass
top
filter icon.
already.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that.
And keep me steady.
So as you can hear, if we bring this up,
I don't wanna
it gets very thin. We don't want it to sound like that, of course. We're just gonna cut off the frequencies. We're just gonna cut off the frequencies that aren't heard.
I don't wanna grow.
So this basically just kind of cleans it up a little. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen to the vocals and see where it sounds muddy. So if we give this a play, usually for my vocals, I know that
just
around
waiting
here
on
sounds
that
a little muddy. So we're just gonna listen.
blow up. I don't wanna
So
grow
right there,
up.
I don't like the sound of that. And a lot of this is experimentation. When I first started, I didn't really understand what EQing was and how you find the frequencies that you don't like. But it's just a lot of practice, guys. So practice as much as you can and you'll start to get better at it. So let's listen to this.
I don't wanna grow
that
up.
I do not like whatsoever. So we're gonna lessen
just
this.
waiting on that come up.
And we're gonna bring that down a couple of decibels. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to find other frequencies that we don't like. That was one of them.
Grow up.
So around here, I don't really like, so we're gonna bring this down. And actually, I think I'm gonna move this over here a little more because I don't necessarily like the sound of this frequency down here. All right, so I think that sounds good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna boost the frequencies that we like. What you can do is you could add or go to your mixer, add another parametric EQ, and boost the frequencies that you like here. To organize it better. Sometimes I just like to boost the frequencies on the first parametric EQ that I open because I think it's just easier. So we're gonna listen. Actually, for now, we'll just put it on this one. So let's see.
I don't wanna grow
For me, I like
grow up, just
bringing up
on that
the high end because I really think it fits with my vocals. But obviously, with any vocals that you're using, it might vary. All right. And already you can start to hear that this sounds so much better than it used to. This is the original.
I don't wanna grow up.
And then this is the new mix one.
I don't wanna grow up.
So that sounds a lot more professional. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen back to this with the instrumental.
I don't wanna grow up.
So that is a good volume, but sometimes you'll find that your vocal doesn't necessarily sit well with the instrumental. It's like being, I guess you could say, blocked out, or like it doesn't sound as present as the rest of the instruments do. So what I like to do is basically take my vocal on the channel rack, clone it so that we have two of these vocals. Sorry, I was interrupted by my little brother, but it's okay. So basically what I like to do is I like to clone this vocal on the channel rack, so I have two of the same. And basically with the one that I cloned, I put it on the channel over. So we have two of the same vocals on two separate channels. We're gonna get this vocal and we're gonna bring it back out here. So you can see we have two of the same right here. And if we play them together,
I don't wanna grow up.
See that they both go here. What we're gonna do with this vocal is basically it's gonna be like the backup where it brings out the presence of the vocal. So what we're gonna do is we're going to basically copy and paste these presets over to, or copy and paste these effects over to the next channel. And to do that, all you really gotta do is you gotta click the drop down menu, go to save preset, and just click it and drag that onto whatever channel you want to, and it'll just whatever channel you want to, and it'll put it on there. And basically, as you can see, now when we play it back,
I don't wanna grow up.
It's a lot louder, but we don't want it too loud. So what we're gonna do is we're going to crush the compressor a little bit. So bring down the threshold, up the ratio, and if we solo this, you'll start to hear it. I don't wanna grow up, grow up, grow. Sorry, I muted my mic. So basically, it sounds super crushed, super pumped. Like it sounds really pumpy, if that makes sense. I don't wanna grow up. But that's kind of the sound we want, because what we're gonna do now is we're going to bring down the volume of this and play back both of the vocals at the same time. Don't wanna grow up, so if we mute the backup vocal, just waiting on that come up, it doesn't sound as loud as it does when you unmute it. Grow up, and we don't really affect the sound or alter the sound, so that's a good thing. And if we play this back with the instrumental, don't wanna grow up, grow up, grow up, just waiting on it sounds a lot more present. Come up, so if we mute the backup vocal, grow up, just take me to the top already and keep. There's a major difference. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stylize. That's what I like to say. These vocals by putting both of them into a bus. So we're going to go down to this arrow, unhook the vocal from the master channel, and put that into a new channel and name it whatever you want. I like calling it bus. So how we do that is we simply just, okay, so it's gonna look like this. We simply just go to the arrow above this, click it, and it'll get unhooked, and then we hook it onto another one. So right here, all you gotta do is click that arrow, and we'll do the same thing for this vocal. And as you can see, if we play it, they both go into this bus right here. So you have these individual channels right here, and then this bus channel that affects both of these. And then this is routed back into the master. What we're gonna do is we're going to add any effects we want to this. So generally what I like to do is I like to put on reverb. And if we listen to that, sounds pretty good. But the thing is, you always want to mess around with the sound, because every song is different, and just the default reverb setting is going to sound good with every song that you do. So adjust it as much as you want. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up the size of this reverb. Like basically right here, this is like the room you're doing this in, right? So I'm going to open up the room, make it a little bigger. And if we listen, sounds really, that might be a little too much, so we're gonna make it smaller. And as you can hear, sounds good, but it sounds a little too distant. So what we're gonna do is we're going to bring down the what? We're going to bring down the early reflection. And generally, I like to have the early reflection off, because to me, it doesn't make that much of a difference. We're going to mainly we're gonna mess with the wetness and the dampness. And if you don't know these terms, wet basically means how much of the effect is put on, and damp means how much reverb there is, if that makes sense. It sounds like I said the same thing, but if you hear, there's a difference. So this is really damp, and then this is like really wet with like a low dampness. So there's a difference. Basically, it's all just messing around with your song and seeing what fits. I'm going to bring up the dampness and bring down the wetness. And if you wanted to drag a little bit more, you can bring up the decay, which basically tells the reverb how much time to let pass before it like stops all the way. So if we listen, that might be a little bit too much decay. Just waiting on that come up top already. All right, and that sounds good. It sounds a little bit too quiet, so what I think I might do is bring up the volume of the vocal and bring up the volume of the backup to make it more present. And you could also adjust the volume of the bus to bring up the vocal. Just waiting on that come up. And now what I like to do is add delay. So we're gonna go down to the next open slot. We're gonna put fruity delay 2, and then what I think fits best most of the time is bringing the time up to 4. Basically, what it's gonna do is gonna replay the vocal 4 beats after it initially starts. Right now, we got this, and that sounds a little bit much, right? So we're gonna bring down the volume, and basically this is gonna reduce the amount of times it repeats. And then we're gonna bring up the cut. This is basically gonna put a low pass filter to make it a little bit more in the background. And then we're gonna go to the delay on the mixer, like the slot itself. And then we're gonna go to the volume, and we're gonna bring the volume down. Grow up, just take me to the top already, and keep me. Listening back to this, the time, I think I'm gonna set it to 8 because it is happening too early. Just take me to the top already, and keep me steady. So as you can hear, that sounds pretty good. Now you'll notice that the actual, like the finished product right here, has a bunch of different vocals. We could do that here, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I only did this one vocal. In essence, it is the same exact process. You can vary it up because in reality, this is an art. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow these rules, but these are basically like the guidelines that everybody uses. But in essence, you would be doing the same thing with every other vocal to make the sound, to make it sound like this. I don't wanna grow up. Now, if I were to recommend something, I would recommend that if you put extra vocals, do some of them up the octave, some of them down the octave, because that will bring out the presence of the vocal even more, and it'll just make it sound a lot better. Before we finish off this tutorial, I want to show you one more thing, which is stereo, the stereo separation knob down here. Basically with vocals, a lot of the time you want to have it more stereoized, and basically what this means is that the more stereo separation you add to something, the wider it sounds in like headphones or speakers, and the more mono or merged you make it, the more in front of you it sounds. So with vocals, I like to have it separated, not too much, because obviously too much with anything is a bad thing, but also too little is bad too. So we want to have, well, we want to experiment, I must say, around here. Let's give it a listen. I don't wanna grow up, just waiting on that come up, blow up. And I'm liking the sound of that. So another thing is the stereo separation knob on the reverb. You could basically separate the reverb as well. So generally I don't mess with this a lot. Well, I do, but I don't like to put too much on it, because then it starts sounding weird with this one as well. Maybe 5%. Let's hear that. I don't wanna grow up, just waiting on that come. All right, sounds pretty good. So after this whole process, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to master your whole entire song and make sure, well, before mastering, you want to mix it and make sure that the vocal sits well with the instrumental. And by that, what I mean is that it's just blended with everything. Everything basically sounds level and nice. And then after that, you're gonna want to go into mastering your whole entire song. So guys, this is basically the process that I go through with every single one of my vocals. Make sure to leave a like if you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Leave a comment, anything you want to see next. I do read the comments and I do see what people say
they want to see. This video was actually suggested by a subscriber, so if you want to see something specific, let me know and I'll make a video on it. If you want to hear this entire song, link will be in the description. And remember, guys, don't be afraid to show your genius.